Good morning, everybody. This is Robin from Roamingwithrover, and this is Finish It Friday. So, what are we working on? I crocheted quite a bit this week, and I feel like I have very little to show for it. It's kind of unbelievable. But as you know, everything I'm working on is very intricate and is taking a long time. So because of that, we're not getting very far on anything. And we started a new project this week. I know, but it was in the works. It was in the schedule, and you guys all knew about it. So let's talk about what happened this week. Sophies Universe. As you know, we've been working on Sophies Universe for some time now. And last week, we got to the end of section 3, which was this beautiful craft stitch, and we started section 4, and I got this far. I got this much done on the first row of section 4. And it's tedious and it's time consuming, which isn't a problem, but I also knew I had some deadlines coming up. And so I set her aside and decided that I needed to work on, you sit right there, Miss Sophie, because I wanted to finish up the squares for the fruit garden. I had 8 squares for section 1 for the fruit garden, and last week, if I recall, Joe Dog is laying right next to me and taking up all my workspace. But of course, you know, we can't disturb the dogs. So I had 5 of my squares done. Aren't they beautiful? I had 5 of my squares done, and I needed to finish all 8. I wanted to get all 8 of my squares done so that I just felt like I needed to get that chunk finished. And we did. So that's the entire first section. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. It's the entire first section of the fruit garden. And I think this is called the Forget-Me-Not. So they're all done. Trust me, I'm going to be dropping things. They're all done. The whole first section of fruit garden is done. The whole first section. Okay. And why is that important? Because I knew this week we were starting the mystery crochet along, the Rosewood mystery crochet along. So I just felt like I needed to be caught up on something in order to start that. So I wanted to get this finished. Now, section 2 of this doesn't get any easier. These are beautiful. And each one of them, as you can see, each one of the individual sections is just each row is just as intricate as the one before. And you've got to keep up, and you've got to have your count right, and it has to be done in a quiet place, and you have to keep your count and have to keep your place. So it's not something you can do when there's a bunch of stuff going on. So this takes a lot of thought to work on. And once you're done with that, you're good. Now I have printed off the next section, and I don't know the name of the squares, but this is the next square we're working on. You see that? And we're going to do 4 of those. And I believe we're starting on that square. Yeah, that's not going to be easy. So that's going to take a lot of thought and concentration as well. Oh my gosh, what has Dana got me into? She does this to me. It's so beautiful. So anyway, that's section 2. And we're going to be starting on that. Columbine, we make 4. That's the little one. The little one is called Columbine. And the big one is called Acanthus. And totally we make 8. I don't think we make 8 of them for this. I don't think we make all 8 in this section 2. Gosh, I hope not. Oh my gosh, maybe we do. It says 2A. I don't know. This is one of those things where if I look ahead, it's going to scare me off and I'm not going to be able to. So anyway, that's where I am on this thing. Getting ready to start section 2. One stitch at a time, right? One stitch at a time. That's what we have to do on this. Is one stitch at a time. As you know, I'm going to be starting my own crochet along pretty soon. And I'm starting to do some prep work on that as well. Of course, I can't show you that. And so I'm also working on that stuff. And so that's also in the mix. And then there is the mystery crochet along. It is called The Mystery at Rosewood Manor. And it is by Kelsey Emerson. She was you purchased the pattern, you purchased the mystery. It started Wednesday. It dropped on Wednesday, and the first section of it dropped. I believe you can still join if you want to. It's much, much harder than I thought it was going to be. There are several hundred people doing it. We are not allowed to, because it's a mystery, and it's like, you know, when you do those dinner mysteries, and there's clues all along the way to figure out who done it. It's one of those kinds of things. So there's a storyline, and you pick which way you're going to go. And so we're already following the story. Even week 1, we're already following the story. We have found out what our name is. And we have already chosen our path on a few things. And we've got the first part of the pattern. And we're working on the first part of the pattern. I fully expected I would get that first part of the pattern done the first evening. Has not happened. I've spent several hours working on this thing. And I'll be honest, at the end of the first evening, I told Mister, I'm not going to do this. I will consider that I have made a donation to her. I bought a pattern that I can't do, and I'm done. Luckily, I connected up with Miss Amber over at Fostering Crochet, and she and I spent an evening working on it together, and we figured out up through about 2/3 of it. And if it wasn't for her, I never would have been able to get as far as I did. And we're going to do that some more this weekend to work on it some more together. It is not easy. This is, and she told us that. Kelsey told us that in our interview with her the other day. She said this is not a beginner pattern. And I looked through the stitch list, and I thought, well, there's nothing in the stitch list that's any that difficult. You know, front post, back post, double crochets, no big deal. This is not a beginner pattern, people. This is minimally an intermediate. I'm calling this an advanced pattern. But so far, so good. I'm getting there. I'm about 2/3 done with the first section. And I'm getting there. Miss Amber and I are muddling through together. So it is gorgeous. We are not allowed to show it to you, of course, because it's a mystery. And when we got the download, the very, very first thing on the very first page, and I'll read it to you. The very first thing said, spoilers are not allowed. All progress photos, she's got a spot on her website where we can post them. But it says, as a courtesy to fellow crocheters, please refrain from sharing progress photos outside of her special spot until at least 1 week has elapsed between rounds. So each week, the new round will drop on Wednesday. So on next week's Finish It Friday, I can show you what the first week was. So that makes sense. So those, you know, there's over 800 people that are doing this. So, you know, that just makes sense. A lot of people have bought this pattern and are, you know, working on it, and it's supposed to be a mystery, it's supposed to be a surprise. So next week I can show you what we did this week. I can show you. So we got the informational page, we've got the stitch abbreviation, we've got the pattern, we've got the first week's story, and it's cute so far. I'm enjoying the storyline. It's really cute. She put a ton of work into this thing, so I'm really enjoying that part of it. I can show you the yarn that I'm using. Beautiful fuchsia yarn. I'm using one of my gorgeous crochet hooks. I'm using the eye hook. I started out with a size smaller. I started out with an H, and it was feeling really tight, so I bumped up a hook size. And here's my beautiful bag of yarn. Gorgeous bag of yarn that's going to turn into some kind of an amazing project, if this thing doesn't kill me. So that is what I've accomplished this week. I finished these beautiful motifs. I just feel like I got, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. And I'm kind of liking the contrast in the colors that I'm working on. I got these soft, calming colors and then this really bright. And I'm glad I picked that color because, like I said, that pattern is also very intricate and is taking a lot of brain power to work on. There's nothing I'm working on right now that is easy on my brain, and that is wearing on me. So that's the other reason I'm not getting a lot accomplished, because every single thing I'm working on is really intricate and really hard. So this is what I have decided I'm gonna have to do, and I kind of knew it was coming. Something is going to have to set aside, and that's okay, because the only thing with a time frame is Rosewood, and because we've got a new thing dropping every week, and based on week 1, it's going to take a lot of my crocheting time. So in order to keep up with it, I'm going to have to really work on Rosewood, and it's got a deadline every week. I know myself, and I know if I set this aside, I am never picking it up again, because it's very complex. I mean, look at this thing. Look at that thing. Miss Dana, I blame you for this. I will keep up with this because Dana's pushing me. If she wasn't pushing me, I wouldn't keep up with that. So I've got Dana pushing me on this. Not pushing me, but, you know, gently nudging me. So I've got her to encourage me on this. I'm working on my my crochet along, so I've got self-imposed deadlines on that. So I'm afraid Miss Sophie, she's not in trouble, so I don't want to say she's going in timeout, but I think she's going to take a nap. She's going to take a little vacay. She's going on spring break. She's not in trouble at all. I'm not having any problems whatsoever following her instructions. They're very clear. They're intricate and they're interesting, but I'm not having any problems. But it's just too much. There's just not enough time in the day. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. And I knew something was going to have to go by the wayside for a bit. I also know that I'm loving this project so much, I will have no problem picking it right back up again. I also know that because it's this project, this pattern, and one yarn, one color of yarn, she's kind of something easy. I might be able to take her traveling with me if it comes down to it, although it's a little intricate for a traveling pattern. You do got to do a lot of paying attention and counting. So that may not work. But I do know that even if she takes a little break, even if she takes a little vacation, it's not going to get lost. It's not going to go by the wayside and end up turning into a lost whip. So yeah, she's not going in timeout at all. And she completely understands what's happening right now. She's not going to get her feelings hurt. So that's what's going on right now. That is this week's Finish It Friday. it doesn't look like we made much progress, but we really did. We really did. Not on Sophie. Sorry, Sophie. I started working on this next one, and it's back loop only behind all these crab stitches, and I could barely see the stitch, and I'm like, oh no. Okay. Yeah. So that's what's happening. That's what's happened this week with Finish It Friday, and that's where we're at. So next week, we're going to see what happens with what we begin on Fruit Garden, and I will be able to show you, how am I going to do that? It's going to be tricky because I can show you what I did this week. I'm going to have to do some pre-filming. I'm going to have to pre-film where I was this week because it'll have the addition of what we start next week. And then I'll have to drop it in. I'm going to have to be very careful on filming so I don't show you what we start next week. That's going to be interesting. So that's where we're at. That is where we're at on Finish It Friday this week. We did a lot of work, but didn't get a lot done. Anyway, that's it. We will see you next week on Finish It Right Friday. Thank you so much for popping in. I hope you will like. I hope you'll subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.